This is the morning of the 27th of July, 2024. Interesting article up on The Guardian. And this was published on the 27th of July, written by Raymond Antonio Vargas, Vargas. See a photograph of the psychopath. And what's written below is, "You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christian," Trump said at the Turning Point rally on the 26th of July, 2024, in West Palm Beach, Florida. Now take a look at his right ear. Isn't that the ear that was reportedly shot? Now you can't see the very tip of it because of his bullshit fake hair that he has. But injuries that I've had before, the area around the injury gets traumatized as well. Yet there's no sign of trauma in that picture. Guy looks like he's out of his mind. You know why? That's because he is out of his mind. Title: Trump tells supporters they won't have to vote in the future. Quote, "It'll be fixed!" Exclamation mark. End of quote. Former president implores Christian supporters to vote just this time. Then he says he's not Christian. Donald Trump has ignited alarm among his critics after telling a crowd of supporters they won't have to vote again if they return him to the presidency in the November election. This guy's a complete moron. He's 78 years old. You think he goes on forever? Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore, the Republican former president said on Friday night at a rally hosted in West Palm Beach, Florida, by the far-right advocacy group Turning Point Action. You know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. At that point, with a slight shake of his head and his right hand pressed against the left side of his chest, Trump said, quote, "I'm not Christian," end of quote. But he added, quote, "I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed. So good, you're not going to have to vote," end of quote. Guy's clearly insane. Trump's remarks were immediately met with consternation in some political quarters. The constitutional civil rights attorney Andrew Siddell, for instance, replied to a video on Trump's comments circulating on X by writing, "This is not subtle Christian nationalism. He's talking about ending our democracy and installing a Christian nation." Let's listen to this clip. See if there's an ad there first.
You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Guy's clearly insane, isn't he? The only reason you won't have to vote again is there would be no more elections. F this wannabe dictator. Some of the comments left. Donald J. Trump admits if he wins, there'll never be another election. If that doesn't move you to do anything within your power to get Kamala Harris, I don't know what will. This would not be good for the white Christians or anyone else. There will be not a country to live in anymore. The guy's clearly insane. That's just sort of what I think. Going back, see what else is written. Actor Morgan Fairchild added in a separate ex-post, "But what if I want to vote again? I was always raised that we get to vote again. That is America." An NBC legal commentator, Katie Pang, said, "In other words, Trump won't ever leave the White House if he gets elected. Yes, he will leave. Feet first. Nobody lives forever." Trump's comments on Friday came months after he remarked that he would be a dictator on day one if given a second four-year term in the White House. He has repeatedly made known his admiration for authoritarian leaders, including Russia's Vladimir Putin, Hungary's Viktor Orban, and North Korea's Kim Jong-un, and a former White House aide reported that Trump once said Adolf Hitler, whose Nazi regime murdered 6 million Jews during the Holocaust amid the Second World War, quote, did some good things, edit quote. Yeah, like what? Guy's nuts. Meanwhile, the Conservative Heritage Foundation Project 2025 has detailed plans to aim retribution at Trump's actual and perceived enemies, whether politicians or bureaucrats, should he be reelected. Experts on authoritarianism warn the public to take Trump seriously when he speaks in that manner. And before Joe Biden halted his re-election campaign on the 21st of July and endorsed camel-faced niece Kamala Harris to succeed him in the Oval Office, the Democratic president repeatedly sought to portray Trump as an existential threat to the American democracy. Trump supporters have tried to blame that rhetoric for the failed 13 July assassination attempt that targeted the former president at a political rally in Pennsylvania. The FBI said on Friday that a bullet, whether whole or fragmented, hit Trump in one of his ears during that day's shooting, which also killed a rally goer and wounded 2 other spectators before a Secret Service sniper shot the gunman to death. Yet many point out how Trump's remarks on Friday seem to be an indication that the Republican nominee for president had no plans to stop making explicit threats against democratic norms, including elections themselves. Okay, Trump just canceled the 2020 election, liberal political commentator Keith Olbermann wrote on X in a post containing a video clip of the ex-president's remarks on Friday. Kate Payette, the communication director for Democrats' U.S. Senator Martin Henrich of New Mexico, added in the separate X post, when we say Trump is a threat to democracy, this is exactly what we're talking about. Trump easily clinched the Republican nomination for the November election despite having been convicted in May of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the New York State prosecution involving $130,000 paid to film actress Stormy Daniels. How about screwing Karen McDougal for 10 months? He has also been grappling with charges of illicitly trying to reverse the outcome of the 2020 election that he lost to Biden. Efforts that were buoyed on the 1st of July when U.S. Supreme Court, with 3 Trump appointees, ruled that he enjoys immunity from being prosecuted for any acts deemed official. Well, how is that an official act? Paying a porn star. And among other legal issues, he has faced multi-million-dollar civil penalties, I think $450 million for fraud, and a rape allegation is another almost $100 million that a judge determined to be substantially true. A poll released on Friday by the Republican-friendly Fox News network showed Trump in a tight race with Vice President camel-faced niece Kamala Harris in key swing states that could decide November's election. Before Biden's withdrawal from the presidential election, polls generally showed Trump had built a relatively comfortable lead in a number of key swing states. Like I said, folks, take a look at his ear. Guy's nuts. He's absolutely nuts. And he does want to become a dictator, and he doesn't plan to leave, other than feet first. Probably through natural causes with all the security he's going to have around him. I'll attach the link. Let me know what you think. You sure as hell know what Trump thinks. And you darn well know what I think, don't you?